This is VibeVoice by Microsoft, and I used it to clone my own voice. An open source speech stack that's already getting compared to ElevenLabs, Chatterbox, and Whisper. But it runs offline and it can generate 90 minutes of multi-speaker audio in one pass. 90 minutes or anything close to that sounds a bit wild. So is this actually usable for developers, or is it another research repo that quietly kills our GPUs? I'll run through some demos and then we're going to see how it compares to others. We have videos coming out all the time. Be sure to subscribe. You can get all this from their repo or on Hugging Face. Now, before we compare anything, let's just look at the outputs. This is all prepped setup running Inference so we can focus on what matters. I've used others, so I'm actually interested to see how VibeVoice sounds, how it can hold up, and how do we get something useful from the outputs. I'm going to do all this as a multi-speaker output, a real-time TTS, then the voice cloning. Here's a short podcast-style script with 3 speakers, clean turn-taking, and audio emotions. Now, what you'd expect from most TTS demos is it sounds decent and then it starts drifting, but just listen what happens here. Speaker consistency seems to stay solid and transitions don't actually collapse. Let's take a listen.
Hey everyone, welcome to our first episode of Bucket List Dreams. I'm Ibby, and I'm here with Josh and Champ. Today we're spilling all our dream adventures. Josh, you start us off?
Oh man, hands down, seeing the Northern Lights.
I mean, it sounds all right? It doesn't sound like it's making up context after 20 seconds. Right, there we go. That's the big point. Microsoft hasn't just made this for short play projects. It's made for longer context audio generation and offline too. But when adding emotion tags, it starts to fall apart. Unlike Chatterbox, for example, it does auto emotion based on the words, and that's not actually that great. I didn't like that. Chatterbox still kind of won here. But if you're building things like AI podcasts, narrated docs, long-form agents, or just training data, this might actually do a decent job at those. Now let's switch gears here into real-time mode. This runs a lot faster than multi-speaker, which honestly took a long time to generate. This now is incremental streaming, so think chatbot responses, voice agents, and assistants. First, chunky latency is around 300 milliseconds, which is usable. It's not the fastest I've used. Let's take a listen here.
Imagine drinking hot chocolate in Japan under cherry blossoms.
Okay, and yes, they say it can sing or even generate background music if you push it. That didn't work. I pushed it. It didn't work. But the point is here, is this production ready real time? I don't think so. But for experimentation and agents, yeah, this is pretty good. Now the fun stuff. Let's talk about the voice cloning because that was really, really cool. Here was my setup for that. First, I recorded myself on voice memos. I'm on a Mac. I then converted that file into a WAV file and I launched Gradio with this command. From this interactive interface, I can then choose my own voice as the target language. That's it, just a normal recording. And what you'd expect is something close to my voice, but obviously fake. Take a listen to this. This is my voice cloned using VibeVoice. It honestly sounds really good, almost too good, because I didn't say any of this. Now that did sound similar to me, but if you know me, then you'd probably still tell it's a fake, at least I hope so. Now, it's not perfect, but consistent and it's stable, and it's used across longer outputs. That's great. Microsoft says this stack can handle long-form generation in a single pass, and in practice stays noticeably more stable than Whisper-style pipelines once the audio gets longer, right? And if you've ever tried cloning a voice more than a short clip, you know why this matters. So yeah, the demos were impressive, I guess. I had fun with those, the voice cloning, but I went through the docs, the issues, some threads, and it is a mix from other devs. Now, the pros first, then the stuff that you're going to run into. The pros here are solid for the most part. It's long form for sure, right? Most TTS systems drift, they flatten, or they break after a few minutes. VibeVoice is made for longer audio, and it showed here, and it showed in my longer demos. Then efficiency plus expressiveness. It uses low-frequency audio tokenizers, which keeps the context more manageable. And diffusion plus an LLM backbone, and you get expressive speech without absurd compute. It felt a bit more dev-friendly by design, right? This was nice. It's MIT licensed. cleansed, it runs offline, it runs consumer GPUs, around 7 GB VRAM for real time. And fine-tuning code is included, especially for ASR. This is not a lockdown of any sorts, but it's really good. Finally, like some other open source, it's structured ASR output, huge win. Speaker diarization plus timestamps out of the box saves a lot of time downstream. If you've built transcription pipelines, you know that that's not a small thing. Now, the drawbacks I definitely felt here, and I saw them as well. This is kind of just like a research software. Microsoft pulls some TTS code paths due to deepfake concerns. That tells you kind of everything. The SDK, it's not a grand slam. It's not polished, right? There are obviously some audio quirks, as I found with other softwares. You might hear some robotic intonation sometimes, pacing is going to feel off. In multi-speaker scenes beyond 2 or 3 people, that degrades. Devs seem to love the tokenizer and hate the VRAM spikes, and there is only a limited language coverage. So Chinese and English, they're great. But if you need any other types of languages, VibeVoice is not going to be that. Lastly, the drawback of zero semantic understanding, like this thing reads text, but it doesn't understand it. Emotion tags can help, but they still glitch out a lot if we're adding in those tags. So the honest thing here, it's an incredible tool for experimentation and things, but long term, I'm not sure if this is going to hold up. Now, the answer that you actually want to know, is this worth your time compared to what you're already using in your workflows? How well does VibeVoice stack up against the other usual competitors? Let's start with VibeVoice versus Chatterbox. I did a video and played around with Chatterbox in the past. That was honestly really sweet. Chatterbox had sub 200 milliseconds latency, stronger emotional punch, and better short agent replies. So you'd think Chatterbox just wins, but VibeVoice destroys it on long form. Chatterbox is built for 30-minute less monologues or podcast-style outputs, and VibeVoice handles that long form much better. So it's a give and a take with that. Then, of course, we have VibeVoice and ElevenLabs. This one's simple, right? ElevenLabs wins because you have your polish, your pronunciation, your zero-shot voice cloning, the UX, but where VibeVoice wins is the cost. It's free, it's offline, it's open source, right? That's a huge win here. We're not paying for software. You have VibeVoice and Whisper, or even Cozy Voice. It beats Whisper once audio gets long and structured. It's more expressive than Cozy Voice, and Qwen-based TTS models are catching up in dialects, but VibeVoice still leads in content length. If you're a dev who builds locally, you like open source, and you care about long-form audio, I think VibeVoice is worth your time. If you want something that's more plug-and-play, production-ready, honestly, you can probably skip this for now. It's just a really cool project to play around with, including that voice cloning. VibeVoice is messy, it's powerful, but it's also exciting. It's one of the strongest open source audio stacks we've seen for long-form AI speech in a long time. Try the Hugging Face demo, read some docs, and we'll see you in another video.